Good morning, and welcome to Peak Entertainment, brought to you today by TrueView Studios and Brady Bedsworth's third period class. I'm Zoe Johnson. And I'm Zoe Johnson. Our first story today is about the new start times and security measures that are being implemented next year. Yeah, I've noticed that they have started to add a new entryway in the front and back of the school. I've noticed it too. I'm also wondering what the new schedule will be for next year. Do you know what the start and end times are? I know that school starts at 7:45 now, but I don't know what the start times will be for next year. Wesley and Hudson talked with the head of security for the schools to get a better idea about the changes and how they will affect us here at Summit and around the district.
After a lot of work from community members in the district, they decided to shift to a later start so students could hopefully get more sleep, be more ready to learn and present during the school day, and maybe we'll see some gains in attendance, safety, and academic. The instigation, I think, was just improvements in safety, feeling like the schools were pretty porous in terms of people being able to come in and enter a building and walk through it, even sometimes without checking in. There wasn't a really good system for that. So I think a lot of what we've modeled the redesign around, or what the district has modeled it around, was what's going on up at Pacific Crest, where there's a secure entrance. And so all of the schools, I believe, are getting a secure entrance like this. It was part of the bond measure a couple years ago. We'll have it in the back. That's getting mostly finished, and then up front here. I think the biggest change is just going to be that that if you want to get into the building when the school is not if it's not at the beginning or the end of the school day, if you need to access the building, you'll have to check in through attendance or through the main office. So at the beginning of the day, the doors will be open and unlocked in the front, and everybody can come in. And then after the school day begins, then the doors will be locked, and you'll have to check in through the attendance office, which will be very simple. Just go to those new doors, that new window, and drop off a lunch or a bag of sporting equipment or an art project or something, and then parents can leave back that way. And if you need to get into the building, you'll have to go through the main office and check in through our system.
Well, the changes are going to affect everybody, including staff and parents, because once the doors are locked, they will need to check in with somebody out front to have access to the building. And if they're a visitor or parent, they'll have a visitor tag. If they're a student, then we have record now that they're late. So in terms of the students, I think it's just students are pretty used to going pretty freely in and out, especially at lunchtime. At lunchtime, it'll be locked, and then if they're not here when the bell rings for class, then it's going to be difficult for them. There'll probably be big lines of kids waiting to get into class to check in, but I don't know that for sure. We'll see how it goes. I think it's going to look ugly before it looks good. I think for me as a coach, because I coach, it's going to affect me a lot, and the athletes, that now we're an hour later, and students are just going to have to be, and players are going to have to be prepared for that, and maybe use that time to study. I don't know. I honestly think kids are going to stay up and sleep in no matter what we put the times to be. It's just human nature. If we know we have an extra hour in the morning, we're going to get an extra hour at night. It's a study that I think will be looked at pretty closely over the next 5 years and see if it's something that's really working or not.
This year's junior and senior prom was held 2 weeks ago at the Athletic Club of Bend. I went to prom to see firsthand what it was like. Hudson and Leo bring you the story.
On Saturday, May 4th, Summit High School hosted the junior-senior prom. We interviewed Sarah Warsaw, the activities director, about the planning that goes into hosting prom.
I am the activities director, and I also teach history. So I have 2 U.S. history classes, and then I teach student council. So I'm in charge of student council, and then I'll kind of oversee all the clubs and activities at Summit. Well, it's a process that starts like really early on in the year, sometimes the year before, because we have to search for a venue first and foremost. The biggest issue we run into is actually finding a venue that is big enough for our numbers. There's only like a couple of venues in town that are even available. So like this year, for example, we were able to get the athletic club. So that was really great. Part of planning prom is coming up with a theme, but like once the theme is chosen, and that kind of just, it depends on the year how we sort of choose the theme. Once we decide on it, we just like start coming up with like how we're going to decorate, like how we're going to decorate the venue. Sometimes, like depending on how big the venue is, like there's only so much you can do with a really big empty space, but we have to get a little creative with that. But it takes a lot of planning, and people don't realize, I think, how long it takes actually to plan prom.
Thank you so much to the students and staff that helped make this year's prom possible. Hopefully everybody had a good time. Back to you, Zoe.
Thanks, Hudson and Leo. We'll be back after the break.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our show here at PART, the Financial Arts Research and Technology. Here we have brand new products for everybody out there. You lonely, sad people who need a friend, who need someone to do something for you. Mandy! We have the perfect person. He will do absolutely anything for you. He will cook, clean, do your homework, be your best friend. He can do anything you want him to. So, to get free shipping on this new order of this new robotic technology person for us, call 911-689-0690 to get free shipping on your next order. Not this order, because we are cheap.
Summit Boys rugby team is competing for third in state this weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Tune in next week for Shaw Vlogs. That's it.